This here's my Hawken Energy outdoor wood boiler. I've had it 8 seasons now, 8 years, and I don't have any issues with it at all. I do have one small problem that I think I figured out a fix for. Let me explain. Up top here is the water fill, right here. And it's got a gauge, shows how much water's in there, whether it's full or not. It should always be full or above. But what can happen when the power goes out and the pump stops pumping the water around, even though there's no flame, the water can boil. When it boils over and comes out the hole, then you'd have not enough water. So what you need is some kind of backup to keep for power. Now, when the power goes off and it's during the normal hours, daylight hours, which so far has always happened, I report the power outage and I come out and start a generator and everything's fine. I figure you got time, maybe an hour, maybe less. But so I made a battery backup system that'll kick in if power goes off while I'm sleeping and I'm not noticing that the power's off. So the pump will keep circulating and the water won't boil off. Now, the temperature ranges from 160 to 180, the water temperature. When it gets down to 160, the blower comes on and makes the flames and heats it up to 180. And then the blower shuts off and the damper closes. And then it just sits there and smolders till it gets down to 160 again. So if the power goes off when it's right, say 165, you'd have a long time before it heats up enough to boil over. But if it just cycled and it's already at 180, and then the power goes off, the coals are still super hot, so it won't, 30 minutes it'll start boiling over. So that's why you need some kind of backup system, I think. And I think I figured out how to do it. Okay. So I've had that boiler 8 years now, and ain't had a lick of trouble with it. It's been good. Just keeps working. Come out and put some wood in. I put wood in. I fill it up about 2:30 in the afternoons, and I don't come out and check it again till 8:30, 9 o'clock the next morning. Keeps the house fine. And then I come out usually when it's real cold, and in the mornings I usually put in just like 3 or 4 pieces of wood, just enough to tide it over during the day till I come out and fill it in the afternoon again. And even when it was near zero for that week one time, the only thing I did, instead of come out about 2:30, I come out about 3. Fill it up, come out about 8:30, 9 o'clock next morning, it's still fine. So they don't take much effort. And I think putting the roof over it helped. I think I extended the life considerably getting it out of the rain. But you drive around this area here, you see these outdoor wood boilers everywhere. They're just sitting out in the open. They just keep working. They're great. So if you have access to free wood, that's probably the way to go. If you got to buy all your wood, maybe not. I don't know. You have to figure it out. But last year I hooked mine up to heat the hot water too. And then I ended up having to put a timer on the hot water heater because me and the dog don't use enough hot water, and by the time it ran all day, the water in the water tank would be 180 degrees. That was too hot, way too hot. So I had to put a timer on it so it runs about 3 hours in the morning, gets it hot, then shuts off, and it stays hot all day, plenty hot. And then about an hour in the evening after my shower, it comes on, runs again, heats it up just in case I need some overnight for something. I don't know what it would be, but you never know. So that's all there is to it. And I moved the hot water heater out from upstairs down under the house with the rest of the junk, with furnace and everything's down there. So that's all there is to it. And outside that, I'm pleased with the wood boiler. So let's go take a look at the equipment that I set up and see what we got. So here in this ice chest, I have a lithium-ion battery and inverter and stuff to supply the backup power to my boiler in the event power fails while I'm sleeping. And I put the battery in the cooler because you can't charge lithium-ion batteries in below freezing weather. But it's going to have to be a cold, really cold, long time before that battery gets cold inside that, too cold inside that ice chest, because all that stuff creates a little heat while it's being used. So it'll be good in there. Okay, here on top we have an automatic switch. House power comes in on this side, and the battery power comes in on this side. and the bottom wires under there are the power lines to the boiler. Now this is an automatic switch, so when the power's on, it automatically takes power from there and routes it to the boiler and goes on. When the power goes off, within a second, it automatically switches over to the battery and powers the boiler with the battery. So it's an automatic thing. I don't have to do nothing. Then when the power comes back on, it's a switch back to the house power. So that's step one. Okay, there's the top of the cooler, and we have the controlling switch there. Inside the cooler, we have a Renogy MPP controller. And, there's the cables to the solar panel for keeping the battery charged up. And I got a bigger solar panel coming Thursday. The small one I got right now, I don't think it's going to hack it, so we'll see. And then in here we have a 100 amp hour Chins battery. Chins batteries get good reviews and they're cheap. I looked yesterday, you can get a 100 amp hour Chins battery now for $286. So that's a good deal. And over here I have a little cheapo 4,000 watt inverter. There it is. And because the water pump on that boiler is only 1/25 of a horse. So it don't draw much. It just barely keeps the water moving. You know, it's not a lot of pressure involved. So that's all there is to it. The inverter, which is down there, the battery, which is there, and the MPP controller. And then, however you want to rig up the automatic switching. And I happen to use this switch. I got it off of AliExpress, real cheap, and it works good. So I'm thinking next month I'll probably buy another one and keep it around for a backup, because you know it'll go bad when at the worst possible time. So there we have it. Will it work? Don't know. Would I like it to work? You betcha. So we'll find out when it gets cold, the first time the power goes off. If it happens during the day, I may just wait a few minutes before I turn the generators on, just to make sure it's working fine. So, but other than that, in theory, it's a good one. Huh? Yeah, I got it up here. Here, maybe I ain't got it. We'll see. Time will tell. Okay. Now you can see that the red light is on there. That indicates there's commercial power, house power coming into the unit. And the green light's on. That means there's battery backup power coming into it too. So now I'm going to turn off the main circuit breaker to the garage. That'll simulate a power outage, and you can see that it'll switch over to the battery backup. See how fast that was? Just as soon as I flipped the switch, it switched over. Now it's got the boiler running off the battery backup through the inverter. So, and when the power comes back on, before I woke up, it'll switch back. See, and it'll switch back to the house power. So, I think this is going to work just fine. If it don't, I'll let you know during the winter. See ya. So, until the next time, you know what to do. Friday, 0600. See ya.